If you keep attracting emotionally unavailable men, men who ghost, breadcrumb, or make you question your own self-worth, it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because of a deeper energetic pattern. And today, we're going to be exposing it. Hi, my name is Amanda. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you want in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Lately, we've been talking a lot about feminine energy, dating dynamics, polarity, divine masculine energy, and really trying to make sense of relationships so that people can have a better relationship with themselves and then have better romantic partnerships. So make sure to subscribe because we've got new content coming out every single week. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And as always, if I have programs or courses or master classes or ways for you to go deeper in the content that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I will let you know as we go through the video itself. And you can find the links to everything in the description and the first comments. So let's get into it, right? My love, I have to be very honest with you. If you keep attracting emotionally unavailable men, it's not bad luck. It's also not an accident. Honestly, at the end of the day, the common denominator is you, right? Because if it keeps happening, it's not random. It's actually a mirror of what you've got going on inside. Now, again, this does not mean that there is anything wrong with you at all. We all go through this. I mean, I've worked with women for 15 years. I've worked with men too, and obviously I've been around men and things like that. I had a lot of them as mentors, and honestly, every human being has to go through this moment where they're like, wait a minute, I am the one who is responsible for my reality and what I am attracting into my life. Like whatever is going on externally is just a mirror of what I have going on internally. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a part of the human condition. And the good news is that you found this video and now you know. So when it comes to dating men, the men that you are attracting reflect your own relationship to intimacy and emotional safety. So you may be saying that you consciously want love, you consciously want a provider man, you consciously want a man who's going to cherish you and commit to you and be devoted to you, but your nervous system is actually trained to expect distance, rejection, inconsistency, and emotional unavailability. So I see this with women all the time, and I used to do it too back in the day, way before I manifested my husband. I would say that I wanted all these things, but if I was actually being really honest with myself, I was terrified of being in a relationship because I had all these stories about how men are not reliable, how men are dangerous, how women are superior, how men are wishy-washy, how they're lazy, how they're less than smart. I had all these stories going on in my head. So of course my nervous system would be terrified to be in a relationship with a healthy man because I didn't think most men were healthy. So that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And if you're being honest with yourself, you probably have some stories like that as well. I recently did a YouTube short that got some attention, which was like the minute I stopped saying men ain't shit, which is one of the things that goes around the internet a lot, I started attracting better men, right? So where does this come from? Where does our nervous system pick up the idea that love is not safe? So place number one is childhood dynamics. Were you in a household where you had to earn love? Now, a lot of people were in households where they had to earn love. Perhaps you had to behave a certain way. Perhaps you felt like you had to achieve a lot of things in order to deserve love. I actually fell into that category. I found out later in my 30s. So, and my parents were amazing, right? It doesn't mean that your parents were awful or not doing a good job, right? In some cases, your parents are just human and doing the best that they can do. And then that's what you picked up as a kid. That's it, right? Because when you're a 7-year-old kid, you make everything about you at the end of the day. And in some cases, there were parents who were, emotionally or physically neglectful or manipulative. There's everything under the sun. I've heard everything in my 15 years of coaching. So childhood dynamics is definitely a place where you picked up a lot of these things. Unmet inner child needs. So basically, there's a lot of people out here who are neglected either emotionally or physically. And emotional neglect doesn't have to be like you had a narcissistic parent, although obviously that falls into this as well. It could just be that both your parents had to go work, so they weren't home, and then your emotional needs were not being met. It could be as simple as that, or that everybody was in survival mode. I come from an immigrant family. I was born in the United States to an immigrant family. My parents are Cuban, and everything was about work and survival, really, at the end of the day. My parents were great, but I still had some of my needs as a child emotionally that were not met. So that's where that comes from. And then another place is feminine wounding. So you were taught to not need to be too much. You were taught to play it cool. You were taught not to be emotional. You were taught to take what you can get. You were taught to be nice and agreeable. That happens a lot with women. Well, what ends up happening? Well, now what happens is you settle for crumbs from men because that's what you feel is safe. And the important thing to keep in mind here is that your brain is always going to seek what is familiar, not necessarily what is fulfilling. And the same is true of love, money, success, health, you name it. It's true in all of these regards. And that's why, for many of you, an inconsistent guy who treats you like crap feels exciting. It feels like romance. It feels like love. The drama is what gets you going because your body recognizes the chaos and feels familiar in the chaos. Now, the problem is that later on, you feel like you have a hangover because you're like, wait a minute, I'm trying to say that I want love and all these things, but this is really freaking hard. And one of the things that you need to realize, Shaman Patrick says this, and I loved it when he said this. Once you really understand romantic relationships, like it's really not that hard and it's quite simple. The problem is that if your body is addicted to chaos or your nervous system feels like chaos is familiar, then you're going to think that actual love is boring. And that's what happens with a lot of women. They will start attracting a guy who treats them like a queen, who is consistent, who is reliable, and they'll be like, oh, but I'm not attracted to him. It's because you're attracted to chaos is what is going on there. So women have to learn to be, and everybody, right? But this channel is for women, have to learn to be attracted to what is good to them and for them. The reality is that most women are actually attracted to what is bad for them. And again, this goes back to all the reasons that I just said. So here's how it shows up in your dating patterns. Many of you are chasing. You're trying to prove to a man that you're good enough. You overfunction in your relationships. Many of you confuse chemistry with connection. Again, because the chemistry is fun and exciting and dramatic, and that's what feels familiar. You're feeling a rush of emotions, and you're like, this must be love. And in reality, it's not. In fact, there are a lot of spiritual teachings throughout the world. My husband and I live in different countries because of my husband's business. So we're between different countries, and we travel a lot. And there's spiritual traditions all over the world that are like, hey, wait a minute, be careful with the chemistry, okay? That's not real love, okay? You have to focus on connection. And again, it's universal in all the religions, all the spiritual teachings. There is something about that. And again, many of you think that real connection and real love is boring because it's unfamiliar to you. And then the other thing that happens with a lot of women is that they're going to ignore red flags because they don't want to be too picky, or they want to be the cool girl, and they think that's what makes them likable. In reality, it just makes you a doormat, and your life is going to be a lot more difficult because you have to learn to be more discerning about who it is that you are actually dating. And I'm going to do another video on that, so make sure to subscribe. And then finally, we have to get into, okay, well, how do we start breaking these patterns? Well, number one is radical self-honesty. Like being so radically responsible and honest with yourself, where you have to be like, wait a minute, I am the common denominator here. There's something going on inside of me. And for many of you, you have to ask yourself, are you emotionally available yourself? And when you really ask yourself that question, many of you are going to realize that you are not actually emotionally available, because the idea of being in a relationship where you are seen, where you are committed, where a man is devoted to you and protecting you and providing you, terrifies you. There's so many of you in the comments or emails that I get, or Instagram DMs. I have an Instagram now. I finally started one, so you guys can follow me there. where basically, I start talking about receiving from men and immediately you guys get very uncomfortable and something's wrong and your body tightens up and you tense. So if you're being super radically honest with yourself, many of you are not emotionally available yourselves because you're trying to keep yourself safe because you see the masculine as something that is not safe. Okay, next is you have to start giving yourself attention, love, and devotion rather than waiting for a man to give it to you or waiting for something outside of you to give you those things. When you start treating yourself better, it's going to start reflecting in your outside world. And then finally, embodiment work. So learning how to regulate your nervous system, learning how to get your nervous system on board with what it is that you actually desire. And for those of you who want to go deeper into that, then I highly recommend checking out my Hustle to Harmony Masterclass, which you can find in the description, because I taught it a couple years ago, right after I'd manifested my husband, right after I was in the process of doing my immigration for Mexico. So I was in between countries when I recorded that a couple years ago. And basically I go through the 4-step process that I use to get my nervous system and my brain on board with whatever it is that I desire. And I go deeper into why those specific strategies work. So make sure to check that out in the description below, because if you ever want to attract healthy love or money or success or whatever, you have to get your nervous system on board with it. You have to get your body on board with it. A lot of you say that you want healthy love, but you don't act like it, right? A lot of you say that you want a masculine provider man, but then you feel completely uncomfortable and unsafe when a masculine provider man is actually providing for you. So that says that your nervous system is not on board with what it is that you actually say that you desire, and we're having some issues here. There's an incongruence. We're not in alignment. So make sure to check out the Hustle to Harmony Masterclass, because it'll go through how I got my nervous system on board after a spiritual breakdown, basically, and losing everything, to manifesting my husband in 4 months after being single for 10 years, to moving to another country after saying for years that I wanted to live the international lifestyle and never doing it. Well, it happened. And now I can add to that manifesting not 1, but 2 businesses, one through my husband and now this one here, where, making money is fun and easier than ever. I mean, it's to the point that because of my husband's business, we get recognized on the street in Mexico because of my husband's business, right? That would have been impossible before because I would have been way too terrified and my nervous system would have sabotaged me over and over and over again. So in that masterclass, I describe how I get my nervous system on board with being able to receive love, with being able to receive more money, with being able to receive more success, and with being able to receive the kind of life that I've always envisioned for myself without sabotaging. So, quick recap. You're not broken, right? In fact, you're now awakening because you found this video. And once you start healing these patterns within yourself, you stop chasing men, you're actually going to find yourself that you stop being attracted to the men that you used to be attracted to. Is one of the things that's going to happen. Consider that a good thing, because it means you're shifting into being more discerning and being attracted to healthier men. You're going to stop chasing men who cannot meet you, and you're going to start attracting men who can. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. It is truly an honor to be your teacher on this journey. You can check out the Hustle to Harmony Masterclass below for nervous system regulation, but you'll find links to everything below. Many of you have been asking about private coaching with me. There is a link in the description where you can apply, because I have very limited spots because of our travel schedule. I can't do a lot of it, but you can also find a lot of on-demand classes and things like that in the description as well, to help you with anything from dating and relationships to manifesting more money from a place of feminine energy. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I'll catch you on the next one.